Well, happy Tuesday. It's time for this week's video. Get ready. Okay, so first of all, I want to apologize. There hasn't been a video in a little while. I had a computer crash. Took me a while to get everything up and running again, where I got all the programs that I use up and running and reinstalled on the new laptop. So sorry about that, but it took a little time. So today, we'll get to the chase. I want to talk about hell. The reason I want to talk about hell is not because I really want to, but because we have somebody who's been checking out our website, and he hasn't really implied too much whether he's listened to a podcast or whether he has watched any videos or anything. But he's been questioning. The first email I got from him last week was, do we have a statement of faith? And no, we don't do that typically, but we do have a statement on what we call redemptionism. And basically it's a statement, a very concise statement on what the redemption of the world actually means for the world, and which is for all of us. And it's a statement on the completed and successful work of Christ for all of humanity. So I sent him that, and I sent him a link to that on our website, and don't know how much he read of it or understood it, but he came back with a couple more questions. One of the questions was, let's see, here it is. Do you believe Jesus is God in the flesh and is worthy to be worshipped and honored equal with his Father? I replied, yes, we do believe that. Then he came back a little later with another question. He says, well, let's go to this one first. He says, do you believe Jesus was sinless and perfect before his incarnation, during his incarnation, and presently in heaven is sinless and perfect? And of course, yes, and yes. I did reply that I don't know why he would be asking that question, considering that is pretty much covered in the redemptionism statement that I sent him. But what this person is doing is he wants to make sure we are hitting all the check boxes for what is considered a true Christian ministry, because he also mentions that he's looking into, he tests out Christian ministries because he's leery of them. So he wants to know if we are truly checking off all the check boxes. Are we telling people there's a hell and they need to get saved and they need to accept Jesus and everything else? This is very much where I'm sure he's going with all that. And so, because he's trying to figure out if we're some sort of false gospel, basically. So yes, I did tell him that Jesus is and was sinless, was and is. Then his next question is, why do you teach there is no hell? So apparently he's been checking into us more. And we don't say that there is no hell in the redemptionism statement, so therefore he has either read other things on our website, or he's listened to some powercasts, or he's watched some videos. But he's been checking us out because he knows we do say there is no hell. We do not dwell on hell. If you know us well, we do not dwell on hell. Mike did a series years ago. It's available on our website for download. It's called The Irrelevancy of Hell. Because this question comes up periodically enough, I did put it on our website a while ago. Because in the light of the gospel and in overall perspective, the subject of hell becomes irrelevant, number one. So that's why we don't dwell on it all that much. However, there is no hell. As some good friends of ours, Steve and Aaron Esme, asked one time, if there was a hell, why didn't God ever tell the Jews about it? Because even though in the English Bible, In the Old Testament, in the Jewish scriptures, it does sometimes mention hell, but actually throughout all of those scriptures, it's the same Hebrew word every time. It's just the grave, Sheol, the grave, which means the dwelling place of the dead. So, here's his question now. Why do you teach there is no hell? Jesus spoke more about hell than he did of heaven. For truth, listen to the world-renowned Bible teacher Dr. J. Vernon McGee preach on hell, fact or fiction. He sent me the link. It is a sermon by this Dr. McGee who is trying to prove that hell does exist. And he's using primarily quotes out of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And so anyway, to your question, sir, about hell, Jesus spoke about hell more than he did of heaven. Jesus, when the word in the English Bible for quoting Jesus speaking about hell, the word is usually Gehenna, which is actually a physical place in Jerusalem. It's now a city park, and it used to be a garbage dump. He was talking about Gehenna, a physical place in the valley of Hinnom. The only other time he really used the word that was translated into hell, he used the word Hades. Hades simply means, just like Sheol, dwelling place of the dead. It is not a place of punishment or anything like that. So, for the purpose of this video, hell is irrelevant. It was never important enough for God to tell the Jews about, because in the Old Testament, the scriptures only speak of the grave, the word Sheol, and but there was never a hell, never a place of eternal torment and punishment. But here's the big reason why hell is irrelevant in the overall scheme of the gospel. The point is that Jesus came to earth because humanity was in a condition of sin. Where did that come from? It came from the very first man, Adam. Because of his sin was imputed to all of humanity, and all of humanity was condemned by that one man, Adam. And if you want to read it verse for verse, in Romans chapter 5, specifically 12 through 18, you will see that this is laid out by Paul, that all of us were condemned, and all of humanity was condemned, was dead, because of Adam. In the first Adam, all were dead. But, and greater so, by Jesus Christ, whom he calls the last Adam in other writings, by one man's obedience, Jesus Christ, all were raised to life, to justification of life. So everybody who was in sin, dead in sin, condemned, that was all of humanity. And those very same, all who were condemned, were raised to justification of life in Jesus' obedience, in his death and resurrection at the cross. Death at the cross, burial, and resurrection. That was the redemption of all. Therefore, any topic of hell really is irrelevant. What we promote is the successful and completed work of Jesus Christ through the cross. And that is why we don't teach about hell. It's revolutionary. I know. Have a revolutionary week.